Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Rare on Air Stories. In this weekly series, we will shine a light on the stories of people living with a rare disease. I'm your host, Leif, and in today's episode, we will hear Leif's story.
My name is Leif. I was born in November 1976 and I was diagnosed with GNE Myopathy in 2015. I was married once and we had no children. For the past 9 years, I've been in a relationship with my great girlfriend. We have no children, but together we have 5 godchildren. We live in Switzerland. Actually, I had a pretty normal childhood. What was special about me was after my birth I was placed with a foster family and then with a second foster family. This family adopted me a few years later. Therefore, it is not possible for me to deduce my illness from my birth parents or ancestors. I have always had thin legs, but this did not prevent me from playing tennis and table tennis competitively in my youth. That is why I did not notice that something was wrong. Nevertheless, I was not the most limber person. About 16 years ago, I slipped a few times in winter and couldn't explain why. Then a colleague at work talked to me about the way I walked and told me to have it checked out. My doctor asked me to stand on my heels, which already was not possible for me. After that, some examinations followed, but I still had no diagnosis. I stopped thinking about my condition for a while. A little later, however, I started searching the internet for possible causes. During this time, I came across a condition known as GNE Myopathy, and that a possible drug that was in its phase 1 stage was being tested in Newcastle, England. Since I had no diagnosis, I could not participate in this study. As my steppage gait got worse and worse, I had carbon orthoses made by an orthopedist, then had another pair made after about 2 or 3 years. In 2015, I wanted to know exactly what was going on with my body and went to a specialist in Zurich. After a muscle biopsy, the doctor didn't believe that I had Nonaka or GNEM and wanted to send my blood to Finland instead, because there is a professor by the name of Ud who discovered a disease with similar symptoms. Around the same time, Newcastle contacted me and asked if I had my diagnosis. They still needed patients for phase 3 of their study. Because I still did not have a diagnosis, I was allowed to send samples of my blood to the lab in England, and lo and behold, 4 weeks later, I received a GNEM diagnosis. And another 3 weeks later, I was in Newcastle for the first time to participate in the study. I went to Newcastle every 8 weeks from 2016 to 2017 for the study. My orthopedist made me a new pair of foot-lift orthotics out of silicone. After that, I went to physical therapy to help remobilize my feet, which were quite stiff, caused by my old orthoses made of carbon. With the new orthoses made of silicone, I could feel small movements under my sole again. Because I was used to wearing carbon orthoses, when I switched to silicone ones, my stability suffered. Silicone orthoses offer better mobility but less support. Although I felt less steady with my new orthoses, I gained better mobility with lots of practice. I tried to recoup my strength by increasing hiking, biking, and snowshoeing. My girlfriend is quite supportive and encourages me a lot to be involved in these physical activities. Today I still wear silicone orthoses. When I have to stand in one place for a long time, for example, at an exhibition or having an aperitif or the like, I need to always have a cane with me. I'm no longer able to stand still in one place without constantly being challenged with my balance. Previously, and for a long time when I hiked, I used walking sticks. Now, unfortunately, I can no longer walk the same strenuous trails as I did a few years ago. Currently, I still hike for 3 to 4 hours at a time, and I choose easier routes. I somehow knew early on, before the symptoms, that my brain is my capital and not my body, which is why I work professionally in an office and will always continue to further my education. I'm an absolute numbers person, and I'm convinced that I will be able to contribute valuable things in this area for a long time to come, even if I will no longer be able independently to control my body.
You have been listening to an episode of Rare on Air Stories, a weekly bonus series of Rare on Air, a monthly podcast by Eurodis Rare Diseases Europe. Today, falling on the rarest day of the year, we are marking Rare Disease Day. We invite you to join the campaign by sharing your story, visiting our website and spreading our resources digitally, joining an event, lighting up for Rare, etc. This was the last episode of this year's series. Thank you for joining us. A special thanks also to our readers who were the voices of your stories. Stay tuned in November for a new season of this bonus series. Make sure to subscribe.